Hello, this is Ben with Fullerton College. This video is going to explain the drawing process for two of the objects in my gradient exercise. I'll show you how I drew my cylinder as well as the slightly more complicated screwdriver. Let's take a look. We'll start with the cylinder. There's actually more than one way to do the cylinder, and I'll show you the more simple one to begin with here. So to draw the cylinder from the gradient exercise, we start by drawing a square or a rectangle. Next to this, actually, I need to deselect this to make the next part work. Next to this, we'll take the ellipse tool, find the center of it, hold down Option, and draw an ellipse until it meets the top. Meets both edges like so. I will then hold down Option and drag this down to the bottom to make this shape like this. So for now, if I make this different colors, just so you can see, the back of the square part of the cylinder, you know, kind of the walls of the vertical portion, are behind both of these ellipses. Now from here you have two options. You could pathfinder the two bottoms together and bring this to the front here. And so you have then two shapes, a square with a rounded bottom added to it and a round ellipse on top. Or you could leave that entirely as three shapes and it'll work either way. From here you simply add the gradient. And the gradient I used for that one involved the dark warm gray and then up to a lighter warm color and then back to another dark gray on the other side. Like so. And even though these are separate objects, if they're selected together and the same size when you do it, they fit on top of each other and line up and it looks like one thing. The top would then be the exact same thing, except you would change the angle of that top gradient to reflect light differently. The bottom two pieces can, but do not have to be glued together with Pathfinder. They can be separate parts. That's how I do the cylinder. Now, the more complicated one is the screwdriver. So let's take a look at how I drew that. For a reference sample, I will glance over at the JPEG that I gave you guys to remind myself, I drew it on top there, of what that looked like. It looked like that. Okay, so going from that original, I'll try to build this partially from memory so you can see it all on here. So it already has the correct gradient built, so maybe I'll start without that. I'll just make it plain orange for a minute. The screwdriver begins with a rectangle. Actually, let me move this, whoop, cancel. Move the cylinder out of the way. There we are. Rectangle starts like so. I'll make this a solid color from the beginning. So to draw the handle, we draw a rectangle for the handle. Then when we select it, you'll notice those four little eyeball circles, or I guess if you want to be aviation about it, RAF roundels. So we grab those and drag in slightly, you round the corners. And that's how you make the basic outline. But then we need to do a few more things to make this really work. We're going to make two divots in the side, here and here, to make it look like a screwdriver with a tapered end. So we're going to grab the ellipse tool, go until we're on the outside path of it, click here and hold down Option to draw from the center. Also, once you've started, hold Shift to keep it proportional as a circle and draw a circle like this. Switch to the black arrow tool, hold down Option, click to drag and copy drag down below until you hit here, and it says intersect again on the bottom portion of the handle. Then you're going to select one circle and the rectangle at a time, the rounded rectangle at a time, select them together and minus front with the Pathfinder tool to cut those circles out of the greater picture. All right. From here, we can add our gradient to it, wherever my gradients went, to kind of see what we're doing. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I thought I had it selected. There we go. And again, this gradient wants to be set to 90 or negative 90. Negative 90 works. The one that I used in the original example, I think I pulled out the reddest part of. Oops. And I may have copied the lighter orange to the bottom a little more to give it slightly more of an interesting look. From here, I would go back to the rectangle tool and draw 3 more rectangles. Well, actually, I would draw 1 for the little divots, the grooves for grip. Now on this, I'm going to round the corners again. And then I'm going to make this, instead of -90, +90, so that the shading goes counter to the other ones. I'm going to copy it down till I get to the center of the object, like there. And one more time, so I can see that my spacing is even all the way through. In fact, I might move this farther and this farther, like that. And once I have the grips on the handle, I'm going to select all 3 of these, hold down Option or Alt for you Windows users, and slide it left, holding Shift once it starts moving to keep it straight. Then I will shrink the side of this, unstretch, compress until it fits in there. And that's the handle for my screwdriver. Now, from here, we're going to draw the actual shaft and head of the screwdriver. Move this, whoops. This can all be grouped, Command G or Control G, and scoot that to the side. The long, skinny shaft part of the screwdriver is fairly easy to draw. It's just a long, skinny rectangle. I'll give it the black and white. And since we're going to be messing with this in a minute, I'm going to click on the gradient slider here. There we go. I'm going to drop off the black, do another lighter gray and drag it to the other side. And there we go. Whoop, cancel. So now it's not as stark. This also wants to be -90, have the dark on the bottom, the shinier part towards the top. This, of course, can be arranged behind the screwdriver with a Command Shift left bracket to send it all the way to the back. If you move it carefully up and down, you'll get the guideline telling you it's in the center, and that's good. The last bit is the flathead. So I suppose if you want to overachieve, you could draw a Phillips. And for this, we need the polygon tool. We'll draw, whoops, I just have to click to make that happen again. We need a hexagon, so 6 sides. There we go. We'll rotate this sideways, bring it down. Let's rotate all the way around so we can kind of see. There we go. It wants to be centered to the shaft of the screwdriver till you get that pink line. Bring it in so it touches or overlaps. And we're going to hold down Option slightly while we shrink it, which will shrink both sides at once until it meets the same size as the shaft. Now, to really make this, there's 2 ways of doing this. You could let it be separate so you have its own shading, but I find that this works well if you glue them together. Another note on this is sometimes it's fun to take the middle 2 and scoot them to the side a little bit so it has a little bit less of a symmetrical tip. From here, if you select both of those and you use the Unite function, you get 1 piece. Of course, because you drew that piece last, it's on top, so you'd want to send that back to the back again. And there you have it. That's how you draw our screwdriver. I hope this was helpful and not too babbly. Talk to you guys soon.